Ah, man. This is really deep stuff here. I'm not a fan of Majora's Mask, but from what's ahead, it's about to get really deep, really heavy. Welcome back to another chapter of Mortal Kombat: Return of the Dragon King. Last time, Kung Lao and Hanzo actually arrived at Edenia, and Queen Sindel was explaining to them of Onaga's plot, that he was taking over Outworld. He was the predecessor of Shao Kahn, until Kahn actually poisoned him so he can rule Outworld for himself, since the two factions were clashing each other, because it's Onaga's undead, and Goro knew about this, because he works for Kahn, so he had that hands-on experience. And Kahn is more lively with his armies, with the extermination squads, as they clashed against Onaga and his undead army. And so, with Onaga poisoned and dead, Kahn took over, thus, ruining Edenia, taking over Earthrealm, etc. And he was known as the Conqueror and the Emperor of Outworld. So, with all that information, Sindel actually decided to bring Jade and half of the Royal Guard to the Lost Tomb so they could destroy Onaga's corpse. And meanwhile, Aiko just met up with Kenshi, and they investigated the remains of Shang Tsung's palace. And he sensed no life there, no death even. And they got ambushed by Ermac, and so eventually Kenshi actually broke Khan's thrall, and thus he became King Gerard, and they're now on their way en route to Edenia. So with that out of the way, let's get going. Alright, continuation 3, Servitude. Kenshi, Aiko, and Ermac arrived with the palace gates. The indigo sky barely had a sliver of light pink, indicating it was finally the break of dawn. Cardiokinetic especially was ecstatic visiting the majestic palace again after several days, just like the Temple of Light was in China. It stood out as a beacon of peace and hope amongst the vast hellish landscape of Outworld. However, the two guardsmen blocked the entry. "Oh, great! The Queen and half of our troops both departed from our quarters in search of the Dragon King, and now dealing with more intruders." Ermac then stepped up and attempted to assure them he's on their side. Recognizing Shao Kahn's former assailant and troop of his extermination squads, they demanded him to step away as they drew and pointed their blades. Unconvinced, Kenshi raised a hand and enveloped Gerard's head, using a psychokinesis by reading the Soul Keeper's mind and projecting his thoughts onto the guards, while Aiko zoned out and whistled that tune again. Eventually, both factors made the patrolmen ease up and change their outlook, as it was forever since the last time they met the long-lost king. By the time they gathered their bearings, they explained Sindel, Jade, and half the royal guard left to Onaga's resting place, where his remains were kept. Aiko realized it'd be the Lost Tomb before she met Kenshi. She and her friends cleaned it out by wrecking the sarcophaguses, excepting for one. The guards then gave Gerard a foreign bronze symbol and a black exterior. They stated it was a Yaz symbol, as a patching to represent he's a free man. This was a very interesting symbol when the fans brought it up, especially Tabmok. Kenshi assisted with the attachment as he used his telekinetic abilities, pinning the symbol onto Ermac's back. Aiko was very impressed. As soon as the process was finished, the guards gave the Edenian declaration. "Edenia is an idyllic paradise, where we are free from tyranny." Ermac, with his soul kinesis, then teleported them. The trio arrived near the pyramid. Relieved for once, there were no menacing cyclones nearby, unlike the combatants' journey searching for the Deadly Alliance. Aiko's mind then drifted to that time period where Nightwolf sensed their distant, omnipotent auras, and how they needed to travel discreetly in order to take them by surprise, contrary to using the dragon jets, much as their quest trekking to Khan's fortress. That was until the crisp air snapped her out of her reverie. It should be dawn at the moment. We need to chance some sleep. It was daytime in Earthrealm, in China. I'm not fatigued yet. Me neither. I'm good. Alright then, let's go. The blind swordsman stuck out an arm after the trio took a few steps forward. He paused everyone. Aiko, do you sense something intensive? She tried to focus. I feel nothing, Kenshi. Why? What's going on? Something's wrong. Emanating from that pyramid. He drew out his, it should be the name of his sword. I'll change that. Sindel and Jade led the Edenian royal guard into the mausoleum. Through the dim light of the lit torches, they barely saw the thick layers of dust litter the plain before they made eye contact with the ginormous display. Some of the men were coughing as their noses wiggled, and their eyes teared from the leftover debris, and some were disgusted as they stepped into a squishy patch, which turned out to be fly guts. Ugh! I should have known the remains of Dramon's infested insects would be here. Dramon? The Oni? Ugh! Indeed. He and Moloch. When we were fighting the Deadly Alliance, we wrecked each one of the mummified stones. Except for that! She pointed to the casket. And that happened to be Shinnok's amulet. Everyone be on your guard. Keep a keen eye out for traps, or Onaga and his followers. Yes, my queen! They proceeded to the upper stone-tubbed platform and were astonished in what they saw. A large sarcophagus happened to have its lid open, just by mere sliver, as rotting odor was escaping from it. It didn't take the royal guard off their feet. Their brute strength and armor, including the gauntlets, allowed the lid to be taken off completely without much effort. Eventually, with some grunts, it was taken off and plopped with a thud and a cloud of smoke, which nearly made the gang sneeze. By the time their itchy eyes cleared, their jaws dropped of the skeletal remains of Onaga himself, even complete with his bat-like thin wings. Yup, this is indeed the mother lode. Destroy it. We cannot let the accursed Dragon King claim his carcass. The elegant Edenian paused, thinking whose body did it cunningly possess. She then remembered Hanzo's take he had the tendency to resurrect his victims into his own thralls. What the hell? Quain, look behind you! The knight hollered, but they were taken off. They were hit directly by a tonfa blade. So, the knights went into the fray, only to be lifted and soon tossed like rag dolls from sudden violet sonic waves. Hearing the screams and collisions of the soldiers' bodies, Sindel and Jade took action. They witnessed two thin figures emerge from the shadows, one goldenrod and one indigo, sneering with yellow-orange eyes. As they marched forward, the two women recognized their assailants. Tanya! Jade recognized. But Sindel recognized... Kitana! No! Kitana! What are you? It's Onaga, isn't it? Hello, Jade! It's Tanya again. So glad I came to Onaga's resting place for those ancient incantations. To fuse all the realms and the Kamidogu into one, and to attain absolute power. Even after if the mighty Dragon Lord should die before turning into the one being. You're insane! You can't find any spells to fuse all of existence. Onaga can never be more powerful than the Elder Gods. Oh, yes, he can. Until then, perhaps we shall build our own new and improved unstoppable army of the great worshippers, starting with the loyal Kitana here. Oh, no. Daughter! What are you doing? Sindel couldn't even bear to fight her. Katana made a flurry of blows onto her mom. She was able to handle herself, but only with her hair, because this was an idea from the Mortal Kombat roleplay that the Sindel roleplayer, she had her banshee spirit removed, courtesy of Nightwolf, because she no longer had the unearthly look. She didn't have this sonokinesis, and she can't fly, so she could only use her hair and her staff. So that was very interesting, unlike Twindell. So Jade easily mopped the floor with Tanya, just like, in the last two epics. Not taking any more punishable observation, Lu's spirit sprung out of the dragon amulet. Katana, stop! Onaga must be possessing your soul. I don't want us to end up like we did in this dystopian future. Liu Kang knows of Aiko. But this is like, if you look at MKX, after you look at Deception, it's like a copy-paste. It's a lousy rehash, trust me. Hate that. Force field dissipated. She was forced back a few feet before her body dragged onto the limestone, and her head hit Onaga's dead tomb. Huh. Her head swam. She was caught in the soul kinesis. Jade was able to wipe out Tanya. Her head swam as she barely heard Kenshi and Lu's voices, with the latter encouraging her to wake up as he was commanding Aiko to make some weak whistles. Her body was still immobilized as the Chinese swordsman held her down in his turquoise hue, while also magnifying the warrior's tune. Ermac marched toward the wounded women, then raised an arm. The pair felt a numbing sensation before they were able to stand again. It wasn't long before Kenshi signaled Aiko to halt. As if reading his mind, he ceased when Ermac caressed Katana. He shone his amber eyes and lowered his mask, revealing his truer composure. He just whispered in her ear, "My daughter, the precious princess of Edenia." Vision began to clear. She gazed up at this illusion. She couldn't believe whom she was seeing with, who spoke to her. That voice, that face. She couldn't help her body beginning to tremble, her eyes watering, before she caved in and collapsed as she wrapped her arms tightly around the proud father she hadn't met in over 5,000 years. She even cried in Edenia and her father, even though it was barely audible. Aiko was barely able to hold her own, though Kenshi was there beside her tending to her. Lu was just all smiles. After what seems like several minutes, Sherrod broke away and gazed onto the two women. They barely heard Kenshi order Aiko to revive the knights, utilizing her pulsating heart gem. Sindel was just flabbergasted, never saying a word. "Hello, my love." Sherrod just stood like a firm tree, contrary to Sindel's quivering legs. Still, she was struck and attempted to speak. "Sherrod?" She can't hold back. "Sherrod! Oh, Sherrod!" Oh, man, it was such an emotional moment. Her arms aching with strain as she held her long-lost lover, refusing to let him go. Every one of the Edenian soldiers, including Jade and Lu, bowed down while Sherrod's family reunited. It was Kenshi, trying to get their attention as they became enamored with affection to their ruler. His blade pointed toward the open coffin. Their eyes followed, and the warrior requested Liu Kang to incinerate the exoskeleton. Liu Kang, the champion of Earthrealm? Sherrod was almost at a loss. Against him and Kung Lao, he recalled the battle. Nevertheless, his aerosol was still effective, as he conjured his pyrokinesis as tepid as a volcano's. He released the enormous fireball and ignited the rubble with a burst. Everyone watched the blaze as it was a large bonfire. "Crispy!" Both Kenshi and Aiko noticed. What the hell? It was that toasty guy again, and he disappeared. So what's her next move, Your Majesty? Aye. Now the rest is up to her. She held her slow heart. Up to me? He nodded. Kenshi walked up as if reading the Regal's mind. Yes, we must know of Onaga's endeavors, becoming like the One Being. We need you to tell us anything, everything you can remember. Katana pondered the dragon's purpose was to unify all the realms and their kamidogu, the sacred relics created by the elder gods. 6 had been reunited, excepting for 1. Aiko was dumbfounded. Raiden said there's 6 realms total. How can there be 7 relics? What else do you think it is? It's the most powerful artifact in all the universe. Shinnok's amulet. Exactly. Liu Kang knew. If any of you know where it is, I will transfer that kind of information. You never know where there can be a spy. Good call, Sir Kenshi. Johnny Cage, Sonya and Jax must still be with him. That explosion is in the palace. Once he knew he was holding the fake amulet, he must be building another army as we speak. He must not know the whereabouts of the last Kamidogu. And what of Kung Lao and Nightwolf? Who is speaking this? Oh, Kung Lao's searching for the champions of each realm. Goro was held back in Edenia until we can gather all the recruits. I'm not sure about Nightwolf just yet, but Lord Fushin took them away in time. And he's with Hanzo, too. Hanzo? He's still alive? For now, yes. We need to buy Lao, Hanzo, and the others time. We can't let the last piece fall into the dragon's hands. But fighting him directly will be the death of us all. My love is right. Onaga has all but one of the Kamidogu. His strength is beyond that of mortals. Well, the least we can do is station ourselves and protect the last location. Does anyone know where it is? Liu raised a hand. I remember dealing with Shinnok in the Netherrealm. Master Raiden and Fushin were helping him. His amulet ran out while the other was being sealed away. Can you make a portal to Earthrealm? Of course, but it can only bring us to the last coordinate, at your new temple. Even better. By the way, do you know of the name Damashi? Everyone shook their heads. They never knew its origin. Liu wondered if his grandfather should know. Tanya stated to me there were incantations involving Onaga. His followers crafted this place, inscribing some spells that are devoted to him. Katana, Jade, and Sindel looked over at the near wall. It's in Edenian. No wonder Tanya wanted to take you to it. You two would decipher these horrific rituals. This states to return Onaga into his original body, thus the remains here, Jade pointed out. Oh good, I'm done. Good thing I was able to destroy it. Let's go to Earthrealm. Upon his signal, the blind man activated the gizmo, creating a rip to Earth, and the group stepped through it. Little did the combatants know, there was a hooded man wearing shiny shades, deflecting limelight, just rising from underneath the stairwell before Onaga's burial. Uh-oh, we got a spy. It's Johnny Cage. I decided to divide this long post into 2 halves, which you'll see later. 7,000 words if I should include Kung Lao's perspective. Unlike fanfiction Dreamer, I tend to pay attention to pacing. I don't want them to drag on for too long, unlike what happened in the past. Somewhere like an hour. But still, I was trying to resolve all the problems with the Edenians and having Onaga brainwash Katana. I figured her reuniting with Jirard was the best way to go. Unlike Sindel's ending, Onaga wasn't present. There was also a few ideas from the roleplay, as I once said. Nightwolf exorcising Sindel from the Banshee, thus losing her flight and sonokinesis. Even the way Gerard addressed to her. And I found the concept of Ermac being a free man was astonishing. Some dedicated fan pointed out, probably Tabmok, maybe it was Evil Emperor X, I don't know. But someone stated the free man symbol. It was the Tifi na letter Yaz, and it symbolizes the free man, such as how Ermac had been freed. His design also seems to be inspired by desert origins, like the Berber people who use this. I don't know much either, but it was pretty cool. Since the outcome of Shinnok's uprising differentiated from gold, the amulet wasn't retrieved by Onaga and hidden away. Not gonna spoil it here. I was also happy to be rid of the scrappy Tanya again. I was also frustrated in having Katana as one of Onaga's mindless followers, a common cliche that was later exploited. Thanks a lot, NetherRealm! God, you guys suck at MK10! I can't stress it enough. So part 1 was easy, but part 2 was just sheer utter hell, both literally and metaphorically. And traversing through the abyss, obviously it's the NetherRealm. But I'll show you that later. Until then, this is the Ikron Rider signing out. Ciao.